For many, Cheers it's a place where everybody knows your name. This iconic show ran for 11 seasons, racking up Emmy nominations and becoming a Thursday night staple for NBC. With nearly 300 episodes, the bar welcomed a whole cast of colorful characters who came and went. Sadly, some of the actors who brought those characters to life have passed away since the show ended nearly 30 years ago. So who are they? Let's find out. Jay Thomas as Eddie LeBec. Carla, the tough waitress on Cheers, had a rough time in love. First, she was stuck with the not-so-great Nick Tortelli. Then she married Eddie LeBec, a former hockey player turned ice skater who wasn't exactly a Prince Charming either. Sadly, their marriage ended in a hilarious but also kind of sad way when Eddie died in an ice show accident. The actor who played Eddie, Jay Thomas, was a familiar face on TV. You might remember him from Mork and Mindy or Murphy Brown. He was also a funny guest on David Letterman's show for years. Sadly, Jay Thomas passed away in 2017. Roger Rees as Robin Colcord. Cheers had a love triangle in the later seasons. Sam, Rebecca, and Robin Colcord were all tangled up in a messy romance. Robin, played by Roger Rees, was a fancy British businessman who stirred things up at the bar. Sam wanted Rebecca, but Rebecca was more interested in Robin's money and high life. It turns out Robin wasn't as perfect as he seemed, though, and Rebecca eventually lost interest. Roger Rees, the actor who played Robin, was actually a big deal. He did a lot of theater work, including plays on Broadway. He even won a Tony Award for his work in a play called The Life and Adventures of Nicholas Nickleby. Sadly, Roger Rees passed away in 2015. Keene Curtis as John Allen Hill. Nobody can live above a noisy bar, but that was the struggle for the fancy Melville's restaurant in Cheers. Located right above Cheers, Melville's mostly just complained about the noise coming from the bar below. Things got interesting in Season 9, though, when a stuck-up guy named John Allen Hill bought Melville's. He and Sam Malone, the owner of Cheers, did not get along at all. John Allen Hill, played by actor Keene Curtis, tried to make things difficult for Sam by claiming some parts of Cheers actually belonged to Melville's. He even tried to charge rent for the bathroom. In the end, Cheers won. But they definitely didn't become friends with John Allen Hill. Keene Curtis, the actor who played John Allen Hill, was actually a very accomplished actor. He won a Tony Award for his work on Broadway before appearing on many popular TV shows. He is probably most familiar to television viewers for his role as dandyish John Allen Hill, a neighboring restaurant owner, on the sitcom Cheers. Some of his other notable work for television and film include playing Max Pomeroy on the short-lived Bill Bixby series The Magician, 1 in a Million, and the made-for-television movie Richie Rich's Christmas Wish. Sadly, Keene Curtis passed away in 2002. Hugh McGuire as Hugh. Hugh John McGuire was an American film and television actor best known for his role as Ed Matthews on the sitcom Live-In, and for playing Hugh in 15 episodes of Cheers. McGuire guest-starred on numerous TV shows, including 227, Knots Landing, Growing Pains, Wings, and L.A. Law. His film appearances include Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Vanishing on 7th Street, The Double, and in 2021, No Sudden Move. He died of natural cause on May 18, 2023 in Los Angeles, California, USA. Family. Walter Olkowicz as Wally Bodell. Early in his career, Walter Olkowicz performed with improv groups and co-founded the improvisational group Saturday Bath, which toured nationally for over a year. Originally billed as Ray Holland, he appeared in films like Future World, The Greatest, Summer Camp, Hot T-Shirts, and The Client. Olkowicz guest-starred on many TV shows, including Barney Miller, Night Court, Seinfeld, ER, and Who's the Boss? He was a semi-regular on Dolly Parton's variety show, Dolly, and played Doogie Boudreaux in the first 4 seasons of Grace Under Fire. He is also remembered for his role as bartender Jacques Renault on Twin Peaks. Olkowicz passed away at his home in Reseda, California on April 6, 2021, at age 72 after a long illness. George Gaines as Malcolm Kramer. Whether he is best remembered as the screwball Commandant Lassard from the Police Academy franchise, the grumpy but kind-hearted Henry Warnemont from the series Punky Brewster, or the amorous soap opera star John Van Horn in the comedy Tootsie, actor George Gaines was a fixture in 80s American pop culture. Originally born in Finland in 1917, Gaines studied at the Collège Classique Cantonal near Lausanne in Switzerland and later went on to study opera at the Music School of Milan in Italy. He would serve in both the Dutch and British navies during World War II, before eventually relocating to the United States to focus on acting. He began racking up starring roles in Broadway shows like The Consul and Wonderful Town, and eventually enrolled at the Actors Studio. After marrying a fellow Broadway actress, Alan Ann McCleary, Gaines and his new wife relocated to Los Angeles, where he began appearing on TV series like Bonanza. His memorable role in Tootsie would come in 1982, quickly followed by the first of 7 Police Academy movies in 1984. That same year, Gaines began starring opposite the precocious Soleil Moon Frye on Punky Brewster. He would go on to play the recurring character of Arthur Feldman on The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd and make notable appearances in films like The Crucible and Wag the Dog before retiring from acting in 2003. Gaines died in 2016. He was 98 years old. John Hancock as Lenny Barnes, thick-set, affable African-American character player who died just as he was reaching the top rung, but during whose career he displayed a wide versatility, easily adaptable to playing judge or thug, military man or executive. You might remember him from the miniseries Roots: The Next Generations or the sitcom Love and War. He was also a familiar face on the legal drama L.A. Law, where he often played a judge. John was a versatile actor who could be tough or funny depending on the role. He appeared in movies like A Soldier's Story and even had a recurring role on Duckman. Sadly, John Hancock passed away from a heart attack in 1992, right when his career was taking off. Nancy Marchand as Hester Crane. With her patrician looks and wavering voice, Marchand has carved a niche for herself portraying upper-class doyenne. Marchand suffered from lung cancer, emphysema, and COPD. She started acting young, even appearing in a summer play while still in college. After graduation, she spent many years performing in theaters across the country. From Shakespeare to modern plays, Nancy tackled them all. She even won an award for her performance in a play called The Balcony. You might also recognize her work in plays like Mornings at 7 or Sister Mary Ignatius Explains It All for You. Nancy Marchand was a talented stage actress who brought characters to life for over 40 years. Sadly, she died on June 18, 2000, a day before her 72nd birthday, in Stratford, Connecticut. Frances Bay as Mrs. Brubaker. Frances Bay might have looked small and a little wobbly on screen, but that didn't slow her down one bit. This amazing actress started her career way back in 1978, when she was already 60 years old. That's right, she was a total late bloomer. Her first role was a tiny part as an old lady in a movie called Foul Play. From there, she just kept going, playing grandmas in everything from classic TV shows like The Jeffersons to movies like The Karate Kid. You might remember her best as Adam Sandler's grandma in the hilarious movie Happy Gilmore. But for fans of the show Seinfeld, she'll always be Mrs. Choate, the old bag who had the marble ride Jerry desperately wanted. She even showed up in the show's finale. Sadly, Bay died in Tarzana, California on September 15, 2011, of complications from pneumonia at the age of 92. Max Wright as Jim Fleener. The central relationship of Sam and Diane on Cheers, with its will they or won't they dynamic, peaked in the 2-part season 4 finale Strange Bedfellows. In these episodes, Sam dates a city council member whom Diane suspects is using him. To retaliate, Diane volunteers for the politician's nerdy opponent, Jim Fleener. Wright continued to work extensively in television into the 2010s, appearing on Friends as Central Perk manager Terry and playing Max Denby on the Norm Macdonald sitcom Norm. Max Wright passed away from cancer complications at the age of 75 in 2019. Ian Wolfe as Buzz Crowder. Remember that creepy guy in tons of movies? That was Ian Wolfe. He stared a lot in his roles and played bad guys or suspicious characters for over 70 years. He started acting on stage in New York, then moved to Hollywood in his late 30s. His big break came as a mean sailor in the movie Mutiny on the Bounty. After that, he appeared in over 150 movies, including comedies and dramas. You might have seen him in The Fortune or even the 1990 Dick Tracy movie. Ian Wolfe was married for a super long time, 68 years. He passed away in 1992 at the age of 95. Vince Howard as Heppel. Vince Howard was a busy actor who started on a show called Mr. Novak in the 1960s. After that, he became a familiar face on TV, appearing in shows like The Fugitive, Hawaii Five-0, and even Bewitched. He even showed up in classic sci-fi shows like Star Trek and The Time Tunnel. Vince wasn't just on TV, though. He also acted in movies, including comedies like Get Smart and dramas like Lethal Weapon 3. In the 1970s and 80s, you might have seen him in shows like The Streets of San Francisco or even Emergency. On Emergency, he played a motorcycle officer who often helped out the fire department crew. Vince Howard retired from acting in 1994, leaving behind a long career on both the big and small screen. Howard died of leukemia on July 18, 2002, 3 days before his 73rd birthday. Donnelly Rhodes as Leo. With a long and storied resume to match his unmistakable talent as an actor, Donnelly Rhodes was born in Winnipeg, Canada in 1937. Even though he tried other things first, like being a park ranger, Donnelly eventually found his calling as an actor. Donnelly wasn't just about small roles, though. He appeared in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and even co-starred in a funny sitcom called Soap. Later on, he had leading roles in shows like Da Vinci's Inquest, and even the rebooted Battlestar Galactica. Donnelly kept acting well into his later years, with his last credit being on a superhero show. Sadly, he passed away in 2018 at the age of 80. Markie Post as Heather Landon. Markie Post wasn't always the lawyer fans loved on Night Court. She started behind the scenes, working on game shows like Double Dare in the 70s. While acting in local plays, she landed small TV roles on shows like Chips, and even had a stint as a roommate of football players in a short-lived sitcom. After a few pilot flops, she landed the role of Christine Sullivan on Night Court, replacing another actress. The 90s also saw her return to series TV with Odd Man Out, and a hilarious cameo in the movie There's Something About Mary. Markie Post continued to work steadily in TV throughout her career, a familiar face to many. Sadly, Post died at her home in Los Angeles on August 7, 2021, after battling cancer for almost 4 years. She was 70 years old. James Karen as Dr. Ludlow. James Karen was a Hollywood veteran who acted on stage, TV, and movies for decades. He even got a nudge to become an actor from a congressman who liked to perform himself. James started on Broadway in the 1940s, appearing in famous plays like A Streetcar Named Desire. He also did tons of TV work, from early shows like A Christmas Carol to later ones like First Monday. Movies were his thing too, with over 80 films to his name, including some sci-fi fun like Frankenstein Meets the Space Monster. You might even remember him from commercials, especially if you lived in the Northeast U.S. James Karen was a well-respected actor who even won awards for his work. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 94. Reed Shelton as George Wheeler. Red Skelton, the funny man with the heart of gold, was a show business natural. Born into a family of entertainers, Red started performing at a young age. By 10, he was traveling with a medicine show, and by 15, he was on the vaudeville circuit. Red found love and his comedy partner in Edna, who later became his manager. Together, they took his career to new heights, including Broadway, radio, and movies. But it was television that made Red a household name. The Red Skelton Hour ran for an amazing 20 years, making audiences laugh with characters like Clem Cadiddlehopper and Gertrude and Heathcliff the Seagulls. Red wasn't just funny, he was kind-hearted too. He supported children's charities and even continued performing live well into his later years. Skelton died on September 17, 1997, at the Eisenhower Medical Center in Rancho Mirage, California, at the age of 84. From pneumonia. Harry Anderson, as Harry, the Hat Giddes Cheers, had a lovable rogue named Harry the Hat. This magician and small-time hustler would occasionally show up at the bar, performing tricks and pulling off playful cons to lighten everyone's wallets, just a little. Even though Sam, the owner, would kick him out for his shenanigans, they kind of had a secret friendship. Sam even bailed Harry out of jail once, and Harry helped Coach get some money back from a cheater. The actor who played Harry the Hat, Harry Anderson, was a real magician, too. He got so busy starring in another funny show called Night Court that he didn't appear much later in Cheers. Night Court was actually on the same channel on Thursdays, so you might have seen Harry there after Cheers ended. Sadly, on April 16, 2018, at age 65, he died in his sleep of a stroke due to influenza and heart disease at his home in Asheville, North Carolina. He'll always be remembered as one of the most entertaining characters on Cheers, Carmen Argenziano as Marvin. Carmen Argenziano was a familiar face on TV and in movies for over 40 years. He started acting in the early 70s, landing roles in movies like Caged Heat and even The Godfather Part 2. He also became a regular on crime shows like Kojak and The Rockford Files. In the 80s, you might have seen him on shows like Cheers or The A-Team. He even appeared in the award-winning movie The Accused. Later on, Carmen landed a recurring role on the action show Booker and then joined the cast of Stargate SG-1 as a military man turned alien diplomat. He kept acting into his 70s, even appearing on crime dramas like CSI NY. Sadly, Carmen Argenziano passed away in 2019. He left behind a long career of memorable characters on both the big and small screen. Kirstie Alley as Rebecca Howe. To get her foot in the door, Kirstie tried out for game shows. She was funny and quick-witted, and people liked her dark hair and down-to-earth looks. Her big break came with a role in a Star Trek movie, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. This launched her acting career. She then landed a starring role in a popular TV show called Cheers. It was a big risk to replace a beloved character, but Kirstie won over the audience. She even won an Emmy Award for her acting. This success helped her get lead roles in movies too, like the comedies Look Who's Talking with John Travolta. Kirstie never stopped working, even appearing on shows like Dancing with the Stars. She passed away in 2022 at the age of 71. Hamilton Camp as Martin Gallagher. Hamilton Camp did a bit of everything in Hollywood. Born in England, he moved to the U.S. as a kid during World War II. He even started acting as a child. In the 60s, he became a folk singer alongside his friend Bob Gibson. Their song Pride of Man even became a hit later on. When folk music wasn't so popular anymore, Hamilton went back to acting. You might have seen him in guest spots on TV shows or movies like The Perils of Pauline, but his real talent shone through as a voice actor. He brought characters to life in cartoons like The Smurfs, Scooby-Doo, and even DuckTales. Sadly, Hamilton Camp passed away in 2005, Eric Christmas as Father Barry. There's nothing Eric Christmas couldn't do. From the hallowed halls of London's stages to the silver screen, he charmed audiences with Shakespearean sonnets and pratfalls in equal measure. He was the ultimate chameleon, switching between befuddled doctors in sitcoms and dramatic turns in sci-fi flicks. Read on to learn about the man who brought Principal Mr. Carter of Porky's fame and countless other unforgettable characters to life. Serious roles were no problem for him either. He acted in sci-fi movies and even a film adaptation of a play by Ibsen. No matter how weird the part, like fighting killer tomatoes, Eric Christmas brought it to life. His last movie role was even as a funny lawyer. Eric Christmas died on 22nd July 2000 from natural causes at the age of 84. Glynis Johns as Mrs. Helen Chambers. Fondly remembered for the breathy quality of her husky voice and her eternally upbeat persona, British actress Glynis Johns delivered a myriad of memorable roles in a varied career that spanned over 60 years. From a family of performers, Glynis started acting on stage as a kid and even appeared in movies as a teenager. She played all sorts of fun roles, including a flirty mermaid and a determined suffragette in Mary Poppins. But she might be best known for her Tony Award-winning performance in a musical called A Little Night Music. Glynis kept acting well into her later years, even appearing in movies like While You Were Sleeping. No matter the part, she brought her positive energy and talent to the screen. She'll always be remembered as a true entertainer. Johns died in Los Angeles at an assisted living home on 4th of January 2024, at age 100 from natural causes. Anita Morris as Madeline Keith. Anita Morris was a super talented dancer, singer, and actress who lit up both Broadway and Hollywood. You might remember her most from the amazing musical 9 on Broadway back in 1982. But she was in a bunch of other shows too, making them even better with her presence. In New York City, she wowed audiences in shows like Seesaw and Sugar Babies. She also guest-starred on popular shows like Cheers and Miami Vice, often playing sexy characters who could be both single ladies or fun moms. She even took over a role Bette Midler once had in a TV movie. Sadly, she developed ovarian cancer in 1980 and given only 5 years to live, but went on to live another 14 years before her death on March 2, 1994, 12 days before her 51st birthday. Michael Curry, as Mr. Sheridan Michael Curry, was a busy actor who you might recognize from tons of movies and TV shows. He started out on classic shows like Mass H back in the 70s. He also did some TV movies, including a role alongside James Ferrantino in See How She Runs. The 80s were a big decade for Michael on the big screen. He landed parts in action movies like Firefox with Clint Eastwood, comedies like Airplane 2, and even a horror flick, Halloween the 3rd, Season of the Witch. He kept acting throughout the 90s, appearing in films with Mel Gibson and Demi Moore. More recently, you might have seen him on the legal drama Suits. Sadly, Michael Brent Curry tragically died in a work-related accident in San Francisco, May 9, 2024. Dick O'Neill as Mr. Clavin. Dick O'Neill was a character actor born and raised in New York City. You might recognize him from hilarious movies like The Jerk or suspenseful thrillers like The Taking of Pelham 123. He was married twice and passed away in Santa Monica, California in 1998. So that's it, everyone. Gone but not forgotten. These actors left a mark. Share your favorite memories in the comments. See you next time.